Ladies and gentlemen, business owners from everywhere around the world, I'm Steve Armato, and I'm teaming up with my man, Dominic Martelle of MicroSky Managed Services to bring you what is right now the MicroSky podcast, but the name is subject to change. Basically, what's happened here is Dom and myself have been working together in a bunch of different capacities for a very long time. And now we're kind of on a full-time capacity working together. I see this guy's face every single day here. And we want to talk to you about, the journey through building a business, the journey through what it's like in a digital world, and, how this all came about and how it all started. And Dom, how we doing? Welcome. Well, welcome. This is your show, baby. So how we doing over here?
Thank you, Stevie. Thank you. I'm doing great. Everybody, I'm Don Martelle. Basically, Steve and I have been working together over the years. We grew up together playing high school football back in the day. And we've always kind of been working with each other, trying to help each other in any capacity over the years to go in the directions that we were going. And, basically the stars have aligned. Steve and I teamed up and we're like, let's start trying to pump out as much quality content as we can for the MicroSky clients, for everybody in general, whether they're a business owner, somebody that has a vision for or an idea to start their own business. Basically like the modern day entrepreneur podcast with more of a tech twist and more of how we kind of utilize tech and marketing to kind of build MicroSky and also service our clients at a very high level. So, I wanted to kind of start this first podcast off with kind of like the original vision that I had as a kid. And, going back to the early 90s, I'm a 1990 baby. I'm 34. So, the internet was brand new back then, really wasn't a thing. So, I was 3 years old and my mother was working home as a court transcription person, and she had a computer and she would do, word processing, and they would give her an audio file. She'd have to type it out. And at 3 years old, I'm on a computer, playing a Microsoft DOS, command line game with a little rabbit hopping across the screen or something. And I just got hooked on computers. I just touched it. I was like, wow, I can do anything I want on this thing. I'm not really sure what it is or what it does, but it's just fascinating. So I just dove in, and as a kid, that was my thing. Everybody else was, outside playing and doing all, sports. I was doing that, but I was also spending 6 hours a day on the computer, trying to figure out how this thing worked. So it kind of morphed into grammar school. I wound up becoming the computer technician of my second grade computer class, fixing all the computers, repairing them, rebuilding them, figuring out how to set them up and do what you want with them. And it just turned into this love of computers. And I just knew at a really young age that this is what I want to do. How can I figure out a way to make money and earn a living doing it? So it kind of morphed into going to high school, linking up with you, playing football for 4 years, and then, went on to Pace University to play football. That really didn't work out because I was just getting my butt handed to me every day on the field. And I was just man, I don't want to be all banged up and broke in college and just not getting any scholarship money to play football. And that was my love at the time. And I was like, you know what? Let me just dive into this computer thing. So I wound up linking up with the head of the help desk at Pace University. Her name was Peggy. And at the orientation at Pace, I linked up with her and said, listen, I'm the biggest computer geek ever. I really want to get into the, computers, and I'd love an opportunity to work with you guys. So she wound up hiring me as a computer tech for Pace up in Briarcliff and in the Pleasantville campus, where I would work on all of the faculty computers and the student laptops. And, basically anything that was technology, computer related, they would dispatch me and I'd have to bring it back to the office, fix it, then bring it back to the end user. And it just kind of turned into this. Now this is my career. I'm at Pace doing what I want to do. And I absolutely hated school. So I was just man, the second I can get out of the school and then just into a real world job doing this full time was the goal. And always in the back of my mind, I had that entrepreneurial spirit where I wanted to make a business out of this. But, I was a young kid. I needed to get my experience, learn the ins and outs of the actual business and corporate side of the computer stuff rather than just, break fix and it being a hobby as a kid. And then eventually, I wound up leaving Pace because at the time, like the tuition was insane, and I wound up not getting a position there that really, really pissed me off, which was like it was a student position where if you got the position, it would become what's called a part-time employee, and Pace would pay your tuition to finish your degree. And
Also, yeah, keep
you
going, keep
know,
going.
when that happened and they passed me up for like somebody that was outside, like I was just so angry, and I wound up just leaving there and then kind of just doing my own thing, doing computer repair, going to take classes at the College of Staten Island, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then I got a call one day from a girl that worked with me at Pace at the help desk there, and she was like, "Listen, I'm working at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Hospital in Manhattan. I think you'd be a great fit for the help desk position here. You want to take the interview?" So I was like, "Amazing." Went, did the interview, and they told me at 20 years old or something when I got the interview that I was overqualified for the help desk position because I knew too much. And that the second that there was like a technician position open at the hospital, they knew that I would take it. So they weren't willing to hire me based on that. They were like, "You're a computer technician. You're not a help desk phone rep, like creating tickets." But I wanted a foot in the door there. It was the number one hospital in the world at the time. I believe it still is. And I was discouraged. Like, I'm 20 years old. I want to get my dream job at the hospital, just get my foot in the door. And they're telling me I'm overqualified. So then I went back to, like, doing computer repairs, going to classes, and then got another call from them that an actual tech position opened up. And then I wound up taking that and started an amazing career at Sloan, where I started as like a field service technician, doing all the computer repairs and also like projects deployments where if they were putting up like a new building in Manhattan and it was a 10-story building that had 400 computers, I wound up being the lead tech that would run the project and come in with a crew of 10 guys on the deployment team and basically install all the computers, cable them in all the different areas, work with the networking team and the security team and the phone systems team and the facilities teams to coordinate all these computers and network equipment going in. And then it kind of just morphed into this a dream kind of job position I had at the hospital where I was working as a technician, working 80-hour weeks, and I was getting burnt out. I was like 4 or 5 years in, and I was just like, this is killing me. I'm working 80-hour weeks in Manhattan, then I have to travel home on an express bus or drive in, and it was just like draining. And I loved the work, and I loved some of the people at the hospital. Others I didn't like as much, but that's in any corporate environment. There was a lot of
All
you know
corporate environments, dude.
politics and bullshit that goes on at those places. But at the end of the day, the ultimate dream was to escape from this. I was like, I need to go full time with this computer business. And eventually, I took another position as the senior server analyst at the hospital. I switched departments to make it a move because I was getting bored with the tech stuff. I was getting burnt out. And I said, let me move to a different department that could challenge me on the server side. It's a whole different side of the coin when it comes to IT. And I went to the server department. I was there for about, I want to say it was about 6 months. And then I knew that that was like a fatal mistake. That I went from being out in the field in Manhattan, going around to like 20 different buildings every day and just like being in the action in New York City to now being stuck in a cubicle in um, right by Giant Stadium in Elizabeth, New Jersey over there. Not Elizabeth, the other town.
East
I forget.
Rutherford.
Rutherford, yeah, I'm sorry. No, it was Lyndhurst, New
Oh,
Jersey.
Lyndhurst. That's another one.
So like I'm sitting in a cubicle, people are creeping up behind me when I'm working, they're scaring me at my desk. I'm just like, what am I doing here? Like I can't be a cubicle guy. Like I just can't do it. So I saw the writing on the wall. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make the leap to go full time with this computer thing. And throughout the whole career at the hospital, I was doing a lot of side work. Like on top of my 80-hour work week at the hospital, I was still doing computer repairs and service calls on the side, after hours, after work, throughout the whole tri-state area. And it became crazy. So I said, I think it's time to officially make that leap from corporate America to out on my own. And that just like opened up a whole new world to me. And that was back in like 2016. So here we are in 2024.
But what? All right. So now, what did it go? How did it go from, computer tech? You're out in the field, right? But how did it go from computer tech to your business offering all of these different
things.
options,
Yeah.
right? Like you do, I know you started with computer repair, but how did it get into the cloud and
Yeah.
cloud backup and web design and all cybersecurity, all these things that you've built MicroSky into? How did that come about from being a computer tech?
Yeah. I mean, basically, it started really in 1998 when Google came out, because without Google, I would be nowhere. Literally, I owe my entire career to Google. Because in 98, I realized that you could search anything you wanted on the internet and learn anything you wanted. And my problem growing up was always I only wanted to learn the things I was interested in. Everything else that I wasn't good at or was interested, I wanted like nothing to do with. I would just don't want to do it. It's
I
just
mean,
the way I am.
that's like the sign that
Yeah,
somebody should be an entrepreneur is they're
100%.
bored in school unless they're doing the thing they actually want to do.
Exactly. And, once I realized you can learn anything you want over the years, that's like maybe half the time I spend is in continuing to learn what's going on right now, as far as the new latest technology, the latest trends, cyber threats, like the best way to do things, best practices, the art of like documenting everything. Most IT people don't even document what they do, and then they go back to it and they're like, oh, I forgot completely what I did last time 3 years ago when I did this. So documenting everything over the years and continuing to learn has been a major part of it. Like just consuming a lot of written text, like a lot of it's reading business books, it's reading all the stuff on the internet all day long as I'm doing the work, and it's just a cumulative learning process. And over the years, I kind of realized that being a break fix computer repair business is a very difficult way to earn a living, because you're only earning money when things break, and computers, they break, but not as frequently enough to keep you busy enough as a repair guy to earn. Computers have a life cycle like everybody else. It's usually like 5 to 7 years you'll get out of a good computer. The cheaper computer you buy, the less quality the parts inside it is. So you buy a $300 computer from Staples, you're lucky to get a year or two, maybe 3 years out of it, versus buying, a $1,500 Dell, high-end Dell laptop or like a MacBook or something like that. So I kind of saw that computer repair, while yes, it's a way to make money, it's not the only thing that you should be focusing on. And I kind of saw a theme over the years of like repair businesses, and at least in Staten Island, not being able to survive just for that, because they were kind of just pigeonholed to that one thing. So really when the cloud started emerging, that's when the idea of managed services started creeping into my head. Really around 2013 to like 2016, I wound up rebranding from Martelle Computer Systems, which was basically computer repair, break fix only, to then MicroSky, because I knew I wanted to cover a larger umbrella of IT services. So it kind of evolved into remote support and doing a lot of remote support, IT contracts, cybersecurity, cloud backup. With COVID, it turned into website design, website hosting, and trying to really expand that offering. And over the years, it kind of became like the IT services wheel, and we've been trying to add different spokes to that wheel that all kind of connect to each other in the bigger business landscape.
Right, right. And now, so when you started, right, you had the job, you were in the cubicle, but like, when did it hit you? Okay, when did it hit you that the cloud is going to be the thing that I'm doing, and I am out of here as soon as I can? Like, when did that happen, and had that happen? Like, when did that hit you?
Yeah, so that was like back in, I want to say it was 2015-ish. In between 2015 and 2016, I was still at the hospital, and I was dating my wife, Simone, and we were, just dating at the time. And basically, we were on vacation in Jamaica, and we're like sitting on a float. I took my first vacation from that server position I had taken at the hospital, that last position I was in. And I'm on vacation with her, and we're sitting there, and we're just like, I'm like, man, this hospital is just really wearing me down. I mean, this MicroSky thing, well, at the time it was Martell Computers, I believe, when we had the convo. I said, I think I'm going to rebrand to, managed services, and I'm just going to go full time with the idea of cloud services and reoccurring revenue, and focus my entire business model on reoccurring revenue rather than break fix, and some subscriptions here and there, to really just making a push for reoccurring revenue and having like this as a service monthly that customers can subscribe to, that will allow me to build out a team of people that can help me with this. Because at the time, it was just me and like a brand new virtual assistant that I had hired that was really fresh back in 2015. So it was an overload of tickets and work that was coming in and phone calls. And I was just like, the only way I can grow this thing is if I leave the hospital and give it one last shot before I get engaged and get married and try to have children and have all these added responsibilities that wouldn't allow me to take this risk right now of leaving a six-figure job at Sloan Kettering and trying to go out on my own and take a very, it was a side hustle really back then. I was doing well enough on the side to justify leaving the hospital. Like, and my idea was, if I'm making as much on the side as I'm making in the salary at the hospital, well then let me just leave the hospital and just go all in on MicroSky, because I could be frugal for an extended period of time to try to get through this tough period. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I've done a lot of different things, and it was very hard because it's the fear of the unknown, and then it's getting back all that time of the, 60 to 80 hours a week, between the overtime and commuting to the city, and it was just insane. So getting all that time back and now saying, how am I going to expand this business? How am I going to bring new clients in? How am I going to come up with a daily schedule of like, what do I need to do today? Like, I don't have any tickets that came in today. That means zero money's coming in. So how can I figure out a way to bring in more clients? And that was a very, tough road, because in any type of business, it's brick by brick. It's happy customer by happy customer. And at least in the IT business, it's very trust-based. Like, if you're in control and managing and protecting all of the computers for somebody's business, that's a big undertaking and a big responsibility. And I take it super serious, and my team takes it very, very serious. But a lot of businesses aren't comfortable to do that. They think they can have their brother-in-law do it, or some random guy do it, break fix from time to time, or, they just don't want to make that investment. They think they don't need it until they get hacked and their whole business is gone. So it's like, the whole business landscape has changed like tremendously in the past 10 years, especially with this push towards virtual businesses, which I love.
Well, absolutely. And like with that too, a lot of times people, they end up hiring their brother-in-law or somebody else, and then it gets screwed up royally and they call you anyway.
Yeah.
And later on, but it's just a bigger mess for you to clean up. When if they'd done it right the first time, it wouldn't have happened like that.
And the big thing in IT too is like prevention. Like, there is a long list of tasks and things that need to be done on a daily and monthly basis on your computer systems to make sure that you're on the latest and greatest. There's no security holes. There's no, risk of being breached, data loss situations, all of this stuff, like, especially with ransomware and what's been going on the past few years with that. I mean, you have entire businesses just being held hostage for like, 200 grand in Bitcoin. And then they got to get insurance companies involved, and they got to do all kinds of disclosures to their customers about data breach and was data stolen, was it not stolen? And it's crazy. So, I kind of look at this thing today on the IT side is like almost like an insurance policy for your business, where you're outsourcing all of the IT stuff to, a trusted company that will handle all the help desk stuff for you. They'll handle all the tech stuff, the remote support, the cybersecurity, the hosting of your website, the hosting of your email, backing up the computers, credit card processing to save you money on, merchant fees for your business. There's so many different parts of it now, because technology is so intertwined in the day-to-day operations of people's businesses. So like, if you're not on top of your tech stuff today, like, your business is in a very bad position, because your competition is, number one. And number two, if you're going to be exposed, like, you're leaving yourself at risk to lose everything. Like, overnight, you can lose everything if you don't got that 200K in Bitcoin sitting around.
Right. Which not a lot of people do.
So it's craziness. You see big companies today getting hit. Like MGM got hit a few months ago. They got in through an employee or something that was a help desk rep. They got through the help desk. They were able to reset a password for somebody and it wasn't them. The hacker got the password, got into the system, took over the network. They lost like $100 million.
Yeah,
that's a big company.
That's a huge company, and that could happen to any just small business.
And the hackers know that the small businesses have certain insurance policies that pay out a certain amount in Bitcoin. Like for instance, let's just say the hacker is going to ask for 40,000 Bitcoin because they know it's a smaller business and their policy would wind up paying out on it. And like it gets crazy because now your business is held hostage. You got to come up with the money to get the files back. And then sometimes the hackers aren't like honorable and they actually give you the files back. They'll just take the
Right.
money and run.
Right.
There's no guarantee you're going to get them back.
No, no, not at all.
So the idea is preventing this stuff from happening and having the right cybersecurity stack on your network that is like multiple layers of defense to prevent this stuff so it doesn't happen to your business.
Right. So like how do you now like you I know what you're off I know what the offering is obviously. But like how do you take your offering and differentiate it from somebody that does either the same thing or something similar? Like do you just differentiate it by the types of clients you go after, or do you differentiate it by we do this better than X, Y, and Z and this is why?
So our clients kind of cover like a whole wide range of industries, like from construction to accountants to doctors to lawyers to plumbers to electricians. I mean, then we have restaurants we do for online ordering systems. I mean, the demographic of clients is so scattered, which is a great thing for a business because you're not just locked into one niche. You kind of have all of your eggs not in one basket, so to speak, which I always wanted it to be a wide arrangement. I'm hitting the microphone of wide arrangement of customer types. And how I try to differentiate myself is I say what I do what I say, and honesty is like full transparency is what I'm all about. And up front, I always want to walk into any situation with a full assessment or idea of what we're walking into, right? So, if it's an existing business and let's say they had, an IT company in the past that they work with that wasn't up to par and they're looking to switch, we come in and we try to do a network assessment to figure out what was done here, what's the current state of the network, so to speak. And then with our special software and all the different tools that we use, we're able to put together a really detailed report of all the things that are on your network, everything that's wrong with your network, all the recommendations of things that really need to be fixed from a priority standpoint and how it's affecting your cybersecurity risk. So for instance, if you have a environment where you have old operating systems like Windows 7 or Server 2003 or, Vista, or all these old OSs, those are major security holes in your network because Microsoft dropped support on those operating systems years ago. And there's all these vulnerabilities and backdoors and bad security holes in those operating systems. So what we like to do is come in, do that assessment, and then from there, put together a very detailed proposal of all the ways that we could resolve these issues and then continue managing it and support it and be there for you going forward. So it's a very kind of, detailed process. A network assessment could take a few days. It could take maybe less than a week for us to gather all the info we need based on computers being online and offline and stuff like that. But for the most part, a network assessment is big. And right now we're doing a special, a free network assessment for your business. We're running a special on our website for that to try to help as many people as we can and try to get some new clientele before the new year starts and things get crazy.
Absolutely. And also on top of that now too, right, with what you offer, how you offer it, how you put it together, how did you, like everybody, especially because this is for people that are new business owners, right? So how did you adjust that as time went on? Like, did you start with like a smaller offer, a smaller package, and build it up? Because I feel like a lot of people forget that there is a huge learning curve here, especially when you first start out. Like the things you offer at the beginning, if they're not working, you have to adjust. So how did you kind of change the offer and adjust it like as you've grown over the last like 8-10 years?
I would say start off with offering things that you're very good at. And the way you know that is because people tell you that. You don't make that self-analysis yourself. Over a while of trial and error, you'll get feedback from customers like, wow, you guys are really good at this. We love working with you. You're the best. Oh my God, what would I do without you? When you start to get these types of things, things are working in the process and how you're actually delivering on the service for the customers. So then it's kind of, slowly building up from there and adding other services that complement your initial service. So, for instance, it used to start with me doing a computer repair for somebody's laptop. They had viruses. I would repair the laptop, I would clean them out completely, make it like new out of the box, and then I would offer the upsell opportunity to, would you like a yearly antivirus subscription for $100 a year, or whatever I started at. So I would get that initial repair, I would build the trust with them, I would deliver on my service of repairing it, and then I would say, listen, to protect this from happening again and prevent this problem, let's get you on a yearly antivirus subscription. We'll get an alert if your computer is getting attacked by a virus. So that was kind of like the beginnings of me trying to get this thing on a reoccurring model. And then, it slowly started turning into, how can I kind of productize this service in a way where I can charge a flat rate per computer monthly that bundles a bunch of things into that. So instead of it being just, remote support, we would include remote support, cloud backup, what else? Patch management to make sure all your updates and stuff are up to speed. And we kind of started bundling services and charging a flat rate times the amount of devices, and came in at a very competitive price point. And from a business owner standpoint, they're like, okay, we know how many devices we have. We know what our monthly cost is going to be on this. There's really no surprises now when it comes to what our overhead is for the IT services. And then it also gave MicroSky the opportunity to grow with that business as they add more employees, more devices to their company over time. The reoccurring revenue would eventually increase over time. So that was like the initial logic behind, like, I guess, productizing services. Because if you're a business, you either sell product or you sell a service, and sometimes it's a little bit of both.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's good to know, because like a lot of people don't really realize that, because they don't really start with offering what they're great at. They start with like, hey, I can do
A million things.
all these things for you. And then that person's like, I only need one of those things. So, we take that into account. And like, you have to adjust your services as the years go. You can't just, if you're really good at one thing, that's what the one that's going to hit home the most. But you have to adjust stuff because there's other things that people want. And then that's how you kind of grow. But now, like, you're at the point of you're growing, right? So what have you done to grow the business, and like what have you had to shift your focus from, right? Like, you at first you're probably doing everything, but as you grow you can't do everything. That's like the biggest hindrance to growth. Yeah. So like, what have you focused more on as the business has grown and you've built out a team?
That's really was it. It was trying to build out a team of strategic people. So I kind of looked at it like a football team. I mean, being a football guy as a kid kind of gave me that team mentality to begin with. So it was always to grow a team, but it was to try to figure out what slots or positions I needed to really fill. And me being the quarterback, like, I knew I needed a great running back, and I needed somebody that was a virtual assistant that can handle all of the requests and the callbacks and the follow-ups and scheduling appointments. Like, I needed to take that off my plate first. So the first decision was hiring a virtual assistant back in like 2015, and really working with him day in and day out for 5 years straight to get the whole thing down pat, which he is my right-hand man. We meet all day long. That's Fred. He's my customer service manager. And, he's my guy. So, a ticket would come in and Fred would triage it, do everything he could. And then I would always review every single ticket that he would take on in the beginning. And now, as time goes on, depending on the ticket and what's getting done, I can pop in and know or see what was done for that ticket. But, it used to be I would look at every ticket that the virtual assistant would do. And now it's maybe, 3 out of 10 that I think I really need to look at just to double check on something and make sure that a certain thing was done in that situation. But I would say to any business owner that's, an entrepreneur or solopreneur, the first thing is hiring a virtual assistant or a personal assistant to help you with the day-to-day minutia that takes up a lot of time, and it doesn't allow you to sell or to do high-value tasks for your business that will allow you to grow.
Can you actually explain that? Like, you just said a word that a lot of people throw around, and I feel like a lot of people don't really know what it means. When you say high value tasks, right? Mm-hmm. Can you tell people what you consider a high value task, like for the person that is the owner and trying to run the business day to day?
Yeah. I would say any high value tasks are the tasks that the owner is best at. I believe I'm best at meeting with my customers, consulting with them, and putting together a custom tailored solution to fit their needs. That's what I believe I'm very good at. I've tried to not even delegate, but assign those responsibilities to players that I'm not as good at or don't get me as excited as I used to be to do those types of things. Like I used to be doing remote support all day long, servicing tickets for clients, but never getting any of the business stuff done. The stuff that I was working in the business, not on the business. So when I'm looking at tasks now, I'm like, is that an in the business task, like me doing something that I could have somebody else doing at a high level? Or is it, the opposite? So to me, it's really, it's trying to prioritize it and then have really good systems in place so that when you do assign that task to another team member, that you know that it's going to get done at the level you want it to get done, and that you have processes in place to review or approve those things. So we have a task management system we use. It's called Asana. It's a publicly known, publicly traded company. So I think the guys from Facebook had started Asana, and that's like a project management software that when we're working on projects or day-to-day tasks for MicroSky, we usually assign those there. So they're accounted for. There's, accountability for the person that's working on it. And then there's also due dates that we can communicate on that stuff. And it's an efficient way to kind of look at all of your tasks from a 10,000 foot view and then, zoom in on what's important and what's not as important.
Right. Absolutely. And now, so we're coming up on some time here. Now, before we get out of here, I want to just briefly discuss before we get out of here when it comes to your journey and MicroSky and like where you've come from. Where do you want to take this thing now as we're getting into 2025? Like, where do you want to take the company? Because you've grown, there's still going to be headaches, right? Like if you run a business, there's going to be headaches on a daily basis, but you built the team out. It continues to grow. Where are you taking this as 2025 and beyond?
My ultimate goal for 2025 is try to give back as much knowledge and pain that I've gone through in business to try to avoid other business owners from making those same mistakes that I've made in the past, and also to try to shorten the time it takes them to get to whatever success they're looking for. So this thing did not happen overnight. Like, I'm 34. I've been literally doing this since I'm 3-4 years old. So this wasn't an overnight thing. It took forever. And I feel like my experience and my story could motivate, could inspire somebody who's sitting in a cubicle somewhere, miserable at their job. And like, man, I always wanted to start a website, or I always wanted to start a power washing business, and I don't even know how to start. Like, I feel like our insights of the struggles that we went through in business could help people. And that's really what it is. And whatever comes of that, great. For the MicroSky standpoint, we continue to grow organically. Thank God. Our customers refer new clients to us on a day-to-day basis. And the growth of MicroSky has been steady, and hopefully one day it'll become explosive. But, if that happens, I'm ready for it. And until then, I'm just trying to create as much quality content for my audience, whoever they may be, whether it's my clients or, friends, family, whatever. And that's really it, just to give back and see where this thing goes.
I love it. Well, we're going to continue to keep creating this content. We're going to continue to see where this goes. This is going to be everywhere. This is going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on all your podcast platforms, and you're going to see Dom's face on a lot of clips in the coming weeks here with valuable insights. We're going to be back bi-weekly. We're going to be back bi-weekly. We're going to be back bi-weekly on this, and then we might jump it to weekly after that. But this has been a great first episode, I think. I think we're moving in the right direction. Dom, is there anything you want to say before we close out?
That's really it, man. Thank you, Steve, for your time. Thanks to everybody who's listening, and I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Hell yeah. We'll see you in 2 weeks.